Right. To the Nile by John Keats. Now this is the sonnet we discussed. We discussed all aspects of Petrarchan sonnet. Now this is the octave. This is the sestet. Now in the octave, there is the problem, and in the sestet, there is the solution, right? And also we discussed the special rhyming pattern of a Petrarchan sonnet, A, B, A, B, A, B, B, A, A, B, B, A. Then in the sestet, C, D, C, D, C, D, C, D, right? Okay. And we discussed these aspects of a Petrarchan sonnet. Write down next paragraph. Next paragraph. Next paragraph. In the opening octave, of the poem or sonnet, in the opening octave of the sonnet, John Keats mentions his problem, related to the Nile, to the Nile. He has some doubtful feelings and comments towards the nature of the Nile, as African believes. Full stop. Keats has no problem. Keats has no problem with the natural beauty of the Nile, full stop. But he has a problem with the African beliefs, B-E-L-I-E BFS, beliefs, associated with the Nile. Keats agrees that the origin of the Nile is the snow-covered mountains. And it flows through the desert, giving life to Africans, pyramids, and crocodiles. Full stop. The Africans believe that the Nile is not just a river. The Nile is not just a river, but a son of some divine parents. A son of some divine parents who is also the leader of pyramids and crocodile. Please quote these lines. Son of the Old Moon Mountains, African, chief of the pyramid and crocodile. Go on writing. The Africans attribute attribute a divine character, attribute a divine character and qualities, attribute a divine character and qualities to the Nile, to the Nile, but the poet does not seem to agree. Does not seem to agree with the African's belief, with the African's belief because the Nile does not appear to be a powerful divine character, appear to be a powerful divine character in its function, in its function. Please quote these lines. We call thee fruitful, and that very while a desert fills our seeing's inward span. We call thee fruitful, and that very while a desert fills our seeing's inward span. Go on writing. The poet raises, R-A-I-S-E-S, raises a logical question about the Nile, the Nile. Full stop. The Nile is commonly believed. The Nile is commonly believed to be a fruitful, resourceful, and life-giving holy river, holy river. But in function, it does not show in function, it does not show all those aspects, all those aspects. Kids question that if the Nile is so resourceful, if the Nile is so resourceful and life supportive, as to why there is, as to why, AS2, TO2, as to why, WHY, as to why there is a barren land, as to why there is a barren land or desert, as to why there is a barren land on both sides of the river or river bank, both sides of the river. The Nile is, next sentence, the Nile is also believed, the Nile is also believed to be the protector and caretaker of the Africans since the beginning of the world. Please quote, nurse of sort nations since the world began. Gates comments that no African's life has been made easy and comfortable, has been made easy and comfortable with the divine power of the Nile. Therefore, the poet raises a question or problem. The poet raises a question about the Nile's fruitful nature. About the Nile's fruitful nature. Please quote, art thou so fruitful? Art thou so fruitful? Go on, write in. He also questions the Nile. He also questions the Nile about his truthful, honest nature. Honest nature. He questions if the Nile is a cheater. He questions if the Nile is a cheater who earns EARNs, who earns people's respect and honor, people's respect and honor through some deceptive or through some deceptions. Through some deceptions, DECEPTIONs. Through some deceptions. Please quote, dost thou beguile such men to honor thee? Dost thou beguile such men to honor thee? Put a question mark. Next paragraph. In the sestet, the answers for the poets doubtful questions about the Nile. Doubtful questions about the Nile are explained in a logical manner. In the doubtful manner, right? It mentions that the main reason mentions that the main reason for the Africans the main reason is the people's dark fences dark fences 40 dark fences. Go on writing. Full stop. Dark fences refer to dark fences refer to dark fences refer to the people's superstitious 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 and mythical beliefs. Superstitious and mythical beliefs mythical belief invested upon invested upon the Nile. And the other reason is the people's lack of knowledge and education lack of knowledge and education about the natural the natural Phenomena. Phenomena. Happenings. Phenomena. Natural phenomena. Happenings. The Africans fail to understand. The African fails to understand the scientific facts. The scientific facts behind the operation of the Nile. Behind the operation of the Nile. They begin to worship the Nile. They begin to worship the Nile out of their superstitious belief and ignorance. Out of their superstitious belief and ignorance. Ignorance. Full stop. Next paragraph. At the end of the sestet, Keats refers to the natural beauty of the Nile, rejecting all superstitious belief, associated with it. Next sentence, he mentions that the Nile is not an extraordinary river, but it shares its common beauty and aspects with other rivers of the world, with other rivers of the world. Full stop. Like all other rivers, like all other rivers, the Nile also has its natural beauty with water, green plants, green island, and a graceful journey, and a graceful journey, and a graceful journey towards its destination, towards its destination in the sea. Towards its destination in the sea. Destination in the sea. It agrees with this. It agrees with this natural beauty of the Nile that all rivers of the world, that all rivers of the world have. Have. Then write down next title, theme. Theme of the poem. Write down. The surface theme of the poem, SURFACE, the surface theme of the poem is to discuss, the realistic nature, is to discuss the realistic nature of the Nile. Of the Nile. And the poet rejects, all other superstitious belief associated with the Nile. Associated with the Nile. The poet agrees that like all other rivers of the world, the Nile also has its unique beauty, UNIQUE, its unique beauty in the desert. Like a silver line, it flows through the barren land. It flows through the barren land, giving life to those close to it. Next paragraph. The poem or the sonnet also, the sonnet is also a serious criticism. The sonnet is also a serious criticism on the people who worship nature out of their misunderstanding about nature's strange functions. For every happening of nature, for every happening of nature, there is a logical science, an explanation, science and explanation. Full stop. When people do not have this knowledge, they begin to worship natural forces in a reverent manner, R-E-V-E-R-E-N-T, in a reverent manner, in a reverent manner, attributing supernatural qualities, supernatural qualities. Full stop. Not only the Nile, not only the Nile, but also there are many other rivers in the world which are worshipped, W-O-R-S-H-I-P-D, which are worshipped in a reverent manner, R-E-V-E-R-E-N-T, in a reverent manner. Okay. Then let's go to techniques. Techniques. Write down number 1, personification. The Nile is personified. The Nile is personified The Nile is personified as a son of divine parents. As a son of divine parents and the snow-covered mountains and the snow-covered mountains are personified as the parents of the Nile. Even the pyramids even the pyramids and crocodiles are personified as the subjects of the leader Nile. Leader Nile. Second technique, the Petrarchan sonnet style. The Petrarchan sonnet style. Write down. To the Nile is written to the Nile is written in in the format of the Petrarchan sonnet. It can be divided into an octave and a sestet. Sestet. It also has the Petrarchan It also has the Petrarchan rhyming pattern of A B B A A B B A A B B A A B B A and C D C D C D C D C D C D C D C D C D C D C D C D. Next technique. Next technique. First person point of view. First person point of view. Write down. It is a speaker. It is a speaker within the poem or within the sonnet who presents his views on the nature of the Nile. On the nature of the Nile. On the nature of the Nile. Next technique, paradox. Paradox. Write down. Paradox means two unmatching. Paradox means two unmatching ideas or contradictory ideas. Please quote these lines. We call thee fruitful, and that very while a desert fills our seeing span. Write down. The above lines are paradoxical. The above lines are paradoxical because they are contradictory, not matching. They are contradictory. Contradictory. The African believe that the Nile is fruitful, but it does not appear so. The Nile is fruitful, but it does not appear so. Okay. Techniques, discussion on the techniques will further continue in the next session. For the moment, that's all over.